This sort of technique is absolutely key. Like, it's fundamental in my outdoor climbing, in my projecting.
If you've been following this series of Climb Like the Pros, you'll have learned how to pogo like Magnus and breathe like Andra, but this time we're changing it up. Will Bosi joined us in session today and ran us through his favourite techniques in person. These are the techniques that have helped him climb multiple B17s and firmly placed him as one of the greatest climbers of all time. So listen up, this knowledge is priceless.
So I'm quite a dynamic climber, I think. I like to climb quite quickly, and with that it involves moving pretty dynamically towards holds a lot of the time. And this brings to my first technique that I want to really focus on this video, which I think I'm quite good at, which is deadpointing. And that's when you've got two holds, and instead of like locking in and going static, you're just going like straight away to the hold. And the dead point is basically trying to hit that hold at the perfect moment when you're not going up anymore and you're not quite coming down, and you're the kind of the most weightless you can be. So you get the most time to hit it perfect, and then just like sink in with your body, and then you can instantly move from there. I think it's one of the most important sort of skills in climbing, because you have to use it on the majority of climbs you do, and I think it's a great fun move too. To do like a dead point move correctly, you need everything to come together. Arguably one of the most important things is accuracy. You need to be able to hit the hold you're going to in the right position, and indoors it maybe doesn't seem as much of an issue when you've got like a big edge and it's kind of the same all the way along, but quite often you'll have a little hold, or especially outdoors, you'll have a hold where you have to get each finger in the correct position. So it's really important being able to hit the hold in the right position straight away, because you don't have time to readjust on a dead point. So that kind of brings into the next element, which would be timing. So the timing of when to release your hands from the holds below, when to grab on, so that you're in that sort of point of weightlessness where you're not really like still going up or coming down yet. You're just grabbing it at the perfect moment to really engage all your fingers, and then you sink in and hold on. I've got 3 sort of tips or improvement techniques for dead pointing. Number 1 is to basically just go around the gym or on the board, look for problems that have dead point moves, and just try as many as you can, and remember which ones you send and which ones you don't. So let's get started with that. I'm gonna go get my shoes on. I've gone around the gym now and tried quite a few different dead point moves. I think I've done most of them that I've found and looked at, but one behind me that I tried and fell straight off felt really difficult. And I think it's because it's got a like blocked hold. Wow. That was way better. So that time I really focused on like pulling close and then kicking high with the legs, and I got fully into the hold. I was like kind of all 4 fingers in roughly the right place, but I think my accuracy and timing was completely off. So my hand was slightly too high up the hold, and as soon as I kind of got the fingers in, I just ripped out and felt like I was already falling. So I think now I need to try and remember what I did for the start, but focus on maybe trying to grab the hold, like releasing the arm and grabbing the hold slightly faster. Okay. Slightly better again. I hit the hold worse, but I think I got to it quicker. Right there, I only hit the hold 3 fingers again, but I was high enough up and I definitely hit it earlier. The problem was I was like too far up the hold. I need to be more in the middle. So I think it's now the accuracy that's missing. What I might quickly do as well to help with this is just pull on from the sort of holds around it and just feel the hold and see exactly where I need to be. Because right now I'm not entirely sure, I don't really know that hold, and I'm kind of just slapping at it, whereas I think I need to be a bit more focused as to where I'm slapping. Okay. Basically middle finger over the bolt hole. Pretty simple. Just hard to actually execute, I think. Oh! Even though I didn't even hit the hold, that felt like the best try. So I think we're on the right tracks. Maybe another go or 2 and hopefully that'll come together. Bah. There's a couple secret tips that would help with this a lot as well. But I feel like I kind of want to save one of those for later on. So, yeah, I'm gonna see if I can do this move without it first, and then we'll see how we get on. Sick. So move went down and then the problem went down as well. And it did feel pretty much perfect, where like that was quite limit, I think, actually, for me. I think we managed to pick a really good problem to show this move. It felt like when I hit the hold, I was like, just as I was starting to come down, but I just like kind of stopped. There wasn't like a big swing down or anything. It was like right in the right moment. I hope it looks that way in the film, because that's how it felt. But yeah, nice. Just a real mix of that sort of explosive pull in, push higher, and just trying to get the fingers accurately into the hole at the right time. So we've come off the problems now and we moved on to the board, because I think the board's a really good place to work on dead pointing, because the majority of climbs you do on a board will probably be most of the moves dead points if you do them correctly. Quite often it can be almost easier to sort of go dynamically to hold and then just take the cut loose and sort of swing and then get the feet back on, but that's more of a dyno. I think especially in training for potentially outdoors and that transition, it can be really important to try and focus on driving through the feet on the moves too, so that you keep the tension, you hit the hold in the right place to keep the foot on, and then that'll save you obviously a lot of energy in the long run, because cutting loose a lot might get you bigger biceps than me, but I don't know if it is actually that useful for getting up stuff. Whoa. Yeah, that's good. That's a good move right there. That felt really, really close, but not quite. So I think there was a couple things going wrong. I'm not entirely sure what they all were, but most importantly, I fell off. And that's what we want to avoid. So let's try and work out what happened and then see if I can stick that move. Just to like clarify, this isn't like about just trying to keep your feet on. Like the dead point move, you can cut loose, but specifically outdoors, I think a lot of time, or if you go into blocked holds, it's really hard to actually get the hold in the correct position that you can cut loose, or potentially you can't even do the move with a cut loose. So I think it's quite important when you train this, especially like on a board where you've got quite good feet, that you're focusing on trying to hit the hold and like doing the movement so well that you don't cut and you can stay on the wall. One of the key things is just practicing. It's why that's my first tip, is just going around the wall and looking for dead point moves. I think it's really important just to practice them and just get lots of time slowly trying to learn your body and learn how it moves. And the board can be a really good way to do that. Moving on to technique 3, I've got a move in mind for this, which I was looking at earlier, where we're going to start on this sort of Gaston rail with probably just the left foot, and then big pounce up to this lit up edge. And for this move, I'm going to give it one try to begin with, and I am hoping that I'm probably going to fall off. Obviously I'm going to try and do it, but this sort of technique is absolutely key. Like, it's fundamental in my outdoor climbing, in my projecting for hard boulders. It's more difficult on routes, I'd say, but this is like one of the most important skills I think I've learned. And it's going to look a bit weird, but basically you don't need to do the move itself, you just pretend you're doing it. So your feet will stay on the ground, you'll grab the holds how you want them, and you want to try and just get the next one perfectly. So you can start off doing slow movements and slowly speed it up, but you will essentially just practice from the ground doing the move. So it's like here, boom. And you just do this quite a few times. And I've incorporated this into my warm-up for pretty much every hard project I've done recently. So for Burn the Dreams, this was absolutely key. You know, it's like multiple sessions worth of difference, because you can practice the move without actually getting tired. And for any sort of climb you have, especially if you've got a hold on a climb that's really difficult to get correctly on that sort of more dynamic move, even non-dynamic moves, but it's just so important being able to basically learn, so you know where you're looking and exactly how to grab it, and you just keep practicing it, getting that more ingrained in your mind and your body, and then when you're actually climbing, it just feels so much easier. So having done that practice move a few times, I'm going back on what I said, I'm hoping that I'll be able to just send it straight away now. but we'll find out. What? I mean, I did the move, but I hit it wrong. But yeah, I think that's my third and the most important tip for specific climbs and projecting. I don't think for if you're just trying to learn basic movement, you would necessarily need to do that much. But when you've got like a climb that there's one dead point move that's really frustrating you, and you can either stack pads or be on the rope and like feel the distance, I think just pretending you're doing the move and just feeling it will make, at least for me, it makes a huge difference, and I hope it does for you guys too. So I think the second technique or move that I'm really good at, I'd like to think, is straight on heel hooks. So not just like standard heel hooking, where in general you heel hook kind of on the side of your shoe and your foot will be twisted, which is this sort of heel or shoe would be really good for. This is more where you're like straight down on the hold like this. So you don't twist the foot, but it's more like a straight pulling, and you activate all the muscles through your legs without basically any twist. So you can pull, I think, a lot harder, but sometimes you do need quite different shoes for it. For instance, this gives you a good lip that you can then really like, I'm hopefully going to be able to find you some moves I can show this, but you can kind of almost like cheat boulders and sport routes. Like for instance on Burn of Dreams, instead of doing the like that hardened match on the second move, you could put a left heel and you could almost like skip half the boulder. It did rip a lot of the time, so I ended up just doing the original sequence, but it's that sort of move that potentially if it works and it works well, you can just completely change the game on a climb. So I think it's really useful, and I don't think many people do it that often. And you can do it off really small edges is the thing, like it doesn't have to be a big hold. But right, the second move, I'm going to show you the way it's meant to be done, then I'm going to try the heel way and see which is better. Whew. Actually, a lot harder than I expected that way. I feel like the heel could be quite a bit better. That left hand you go to, it's not that good, and it was quite a powerful move to get there. So now I'm going to try putting heel to hand, which I think is for sure a bit of a flexibility move as well, but hopefully this will make it easier. Wow, super nice. So like this straight on heel, it was really hard to put it there, I'm not going to lie, but then it just felt like I could statically pull in, and because the right hand's quite a good block, then I think it's probably, for me personally, was an easier way of doing that move. And then you had the difference where it was like the straight down heel on the hold to begin with. Then when I got the next one, I could just twist the heel in, turn the foot and do a sideways heel, lock under for the move over. And you basically go from that pulling really hard to get high, whereas then sitting on the heel and doing the other type of heel hook to come over. And that shows like both heels, I think they're perfect uses, and yeah, that actually was easier. I'm really happy with that one. Okay, so I've got a couple tips or training tools for this method of heel hooking, so the straight down heel, that I think are really useful. I mean, number one, as always with sort of movements in climbing, just trying them. Going around the wall, looking for that style of heel, thinking if there's a move you're really struggling on, oh, I wonder if I could put just a straight heel on one of the holds that you wouldn't normally heel hook on, and seeing if that would affect it, or just, you know, getting on maybe one of your warm-ups, and instead of doing a sideways heel, try the straight on and see how pulling through the leg actually feels. But important, because I think you can pull a lot harder on these types of heels with your leg in a line, I think it's quite good to actually train a bit for them and do exercises so you feel comfortable. This, I'd say, is probably just a really useful technique for training your legs for heel hooks full stop. But specifically for the straight on heels, I think this is really good. Even as just activation, if you've got quite like a lightweight band and you do just, if you've got a gym in your wall or you take your own band with you and you've got a tree at the crag or something, it can be really good to activate so that if you've got a hard heel hook on your project, you don't end up getting hurt. Also, training wise is super good. Basically, I like being kind of lying down. You have the band around your ankle, and then you can do it from sort of whatever angle you feel is comfortable. So I'm doing it from here. I could also have it like waist sort of from straight, and then you just want to pull it in Keep it engaged for like a second or two. And it really just honestly feels like you're on a heel hook, and starts getting hard pretty fast on this band. But yeah. And then obviously doing it both sides, but I think this is a really good exercise. And depending if you have like a specific project and the heel hook, your legs obviously going to be at different points. So if the project you're trying to heel like close, then it's good to have the band at a distance where it's going to get really hard close. Whereas if the heel's actually quite extended, you'd want to sit further back, and then like it'll be harder for extended. So you can make it quite specific to what you're trying as well, or it can be kind of just general strength training. Another thing is shoe selection can be really important for this. For me, for the straight on heel hooks on tiny edges, or even turned heels on tiny edges, you want the ridge on the shoe. I find that then you can catch that, and it will like take a lot more weight than just a generic sort of band heel where you'll be like on a flat piece of rubber. But it's not absolutely crucial. You can do it on both. I just think it becomes a bit harder. The downside, of course, is if you're heel hooking on like the joining point of a shoe, it will be the weaker point of the shoe, and you might go through your shoes faster because you could peel them away. So shoes is something that's worth thinking about, but it's definitely not the main factor of this. I think the main factor is getting the strength in the leg, the sort of flexibility in the hips, and just learning how to actually pull in that different way. Okay, so I don't know, my third skill, it's arguably my like favorite thing to do in climbing, so maybe it's my top skill, but third in this video, I guess, is drop knees. I think drop knees are one of the most important skills in climbing, and I think the sort of level is a lot higher than most people go to. I mean, obviously you got to worry about your knees, I suppose, to an extent, but like when you watch a video of Ondra and he's just in the most ridiculous position you've ever seen, it is super inspiring. And I found so many times in climbs where I can just find like a ridiculously high foot or something and think, oh, that's an in-cut edge. If I can get my foot there and drop my knee, this move will be easy. And most of the time it doesn't work, but sometimes it does, and it's amazing, and it like completely changes the climb. And yeah, I guess it's the same bit with the heels. They can be quite specific, the deep drop knees, but they can make a huge difference, and it's always worth sort of keeping them in your box, in your training, and kind of looking for them. Okay, so behind me is a problem which has a set drop knee, so I can at least show the move super well and show you what I mean by the amount of tension that you can drop into and put your feet, and how that changes how you climb. So, starting here, not too hard a first move, but then from here, if you were to just kind of go straight on, it gets really hard to match in and do the moves because the holes become bad. Whereas if you bring your left foot high and then drop this knee, it's like almost weightless. You can come all the way across, and then if you were to match in, you could drop the other way, come to the edge, drop back, and it just completely changes how much weight you can put through your hands and makes the climb a lot easier. See, this move didn't have a drop knee, I had to try it again. And it's straight on heel. Oh. Nice. Tip number one for drop knees. This is super important for warm up. One of the projects I'm trying at the moment, it's like 3 crazy drop knees in a row. It's amazing, but it can be quite hard to warm up, especially if you're, I don't know, in a comp scenario or outdoors, or you're in a gym where you just don't have tons of time to go around and look for them, like easy drop knees. I think one of the best things is to stand relatively far apart, and then you basically like drop your knee, but not all the way, so it's just above, and you're kind of in that roughly 45-degree angles, there or thereabouts, and just really like twist in, and then just kind of like move between both sides, and like really twist in your hips, so you like drop your hip, and you feel like you're like pushing back. I think this is like one of my favorite sort of warm-up stretches, where you don't need to sit into the position a lot, just sort of move between quite like as a dynamic stretch, and I think that helps a lot for warm-up. That's something that I do a lot, and I think is like a solid tip. I think general leg and hip flexibility is the most important thing. So there's a couple of stretching videos I think up on the Lattice channel already, and it's definitely worth checking them out, and it's worth adding them into your routine, whether you do it at the gym or at home or wherever you have time. I think if you really want to improve and like push towards really hard heel hooks and really hard drop knees and really deep ones where you're like at some crazy Andre angle, I think flexibility is absolutely key because you don't want to get injured and you want to be able to get into the positions. And then I think other than that, the main thing is just trying them, going out, looking for them. And a lot of the time they probably won't work to begin with, but it's just keep searching for them on your projects and keep giving them a try when you can and thinking outside the box if a move is hard.
If you also want to train like Will Bosi and would be interested in a 15% discount, check out the bundle deals in our shop now. But if specialized training tools are not on your shopping list, a like and subscribe still goes a long way to support our channel so we can bring out more videos like this with athletes like Will. As always, thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.